So here we are in the latest episode of Konosuba, and yet again we have an episode that's centering around darkness. Now, of course, in the beginning of the episode, you're kind of like, she's sullen, and kind of where episode 7 ended off, she's like being a little weird. Ever since she got the omen that there's some issues with her family and such, she hasn't really been the same. So you kind of going around like you could tell there's something wrong with her, but she's just not addressing it and saying what that issue is. And in this episode, you start to see that the other crew and the people around her start to catch in on that. So Darkness works a lot in this episode. She, of course, used her sturdy body to play decoy and to attack the Hydra. And at the beginning of the episode, they started it off with Kazuma being dead, and in a continuation from the end of episode 7. So it made me wonder, like, dang, did they get the Hydra? Or like, what happened here? But come to find out, they failed in their attempt of attacking the Hydra. So they start to kind of have a plan as to what to do to get rid of this Hydra. And Cosmo's like, you know what, I'll deal with it later. So what Darkness and Megumin, they literally go every day to fight the Hydra, to weaken it. So Darkness uses decoy, Megumin hits it with an explosion. Rinse and repeat for several days. She's adamant about taking on this Hydra, and after a while, she goes off to the point where she does it herself. She's like, you know what, I'm just gonna take care of it myself. And Cosmo's like, nah, okay, all right, I know what to do. So he actually doesn't give up on the chance that, you know, this Hydra is supposed to be weaker because of Megumin every day. He gets the whole town involved. Not necessarily the whole town, but essentially all the fighters and stuff that are from the Adventurers Guild. And they come back and be like, you know what? Let's do it together. And it also helps Darkness to see that it's not just her friends, the people in her party that are there to back her up, but there are a lot more people there that have her back if she needs it. And their whole battle that ensued was crazy, funny, but they kill the Hydra, and all's well that ends well. Or so it seems. Now, before we get into some deeper parts of this, I cannot brush over the fact that this scene was probably one of the funniest there was. Here it is, Kazuma, fearing for his life, trying to drain the Hydra of its energy and its magic, and he seemed like he was about to be crushed, but here it is. Darkness is over him, and really a test of endurance that she's been doing is trying to save Kazuma. But as she said, she has Kazuma's life in her hands, yet Kazuma is degrading her. So even she's like, oh my lord, who's the master here? It seems like he's the master because she's being degraded by his words, but then his very life is in her hands, so she's technically the master. And so this gives her renewed strength and sends her to another time zone mentally, because here she is like trying her best, but then once she realizes this new stimulation, as she says, that she's able to literally almost lift the Hydra herself. And of course, with some other distractions, they were able to get from under the Hydra. But it was hilarious because even after they get away from the Hydra, Cosmo has to pull her because she's still in a daze in her, I don't know how to say it, in her lustfulness and happiness type mood. And she was just mentally checked out. But I gotta give it to Kazuma. He's kind of a pretty good military strategist there by pulling everyone together, pulling resources, and able to take on the Hydra, who is not even one of like the Devil King's subordinates. It's actually just a very tough monster, and is able to get everyone together to take it on as if it was almost an end of season battle that we've had previously. So kudos to Kazuma and his actual insight and Darkness's strength. Now the sad thing is that this all culminates into Darkness leaving the party. She writes a note saying goodbye for the most part. That was it. That's the end of the episode. Now, granted, from the preview for next week's episode, it looks like they try to go track her down, which honestly they should, but it started to clue me in when about middle of the episode, towards the end, it started to dawn on me. This is why she wanted to fight the Hydra so bad. She wanted to fight something as a team, as a proper send-off. They've been fighting the Devil King subordinates and all kinds of other things up into this season. So she's like, you know what? Let's fight something. And thus the reason why she wanted to fight this Hydra, to almost to the point that it kills her. So then that way it's a proper send-off for her to leave. And I don't know what's going on, but my thoughts are she probably, with the problem that is happening with her family, I surmise that she has to probably marry into with somebody else that has funds. So then that way her family is afloat. So thus she doesn't want to do this, but her duty as a noble makes it to where she almost has to. So it's really going to be interesting for next week's episode how this all works out. It never really states how much money that her family is in trouble for, or what specifically is the problem with her family. I'm assuming it's money related, because there was a huge bounty for Kazuma as the silver-haired thief brigade. She kind of looks at Kazuma like, huh, really now? Like as if she turned him in, she would get funds from that. So I assume it's, you know, as a noble thing, being a noble is all about being rich. You lose money, you're not rich anymore, and thus you lose your power and standing. So I'm assuming with the effect of last week's episode, we saw that big guy sitting in a chair looking at the big portrait of darkness, that maybe he has something going along the lines to endanger her family, or have her family not have the funds they need to, and thus maybe he's trying to push his way into being betrothed and marry darkness, so then that way her family gets more afloat and is better off. I don't know. As a anime only watcher, I can only guesstimate what I've seen thus far, but you know, hey, it's still a great anime, and there was still even more funny moments in this episode that were actually really, really good. Like when Darkness ran towards the Hydra in her decoy state, that was priceless. Or Aqua as she's dancing around using her blessings. Such good moments make this show so great and amazing that I could do nothing but just sit here and just talk about it and try to discuss, just to get my excitement out with you guys. But definitely make sure you guys like the video and comment down below, what do you guys think? Definitely no spoilers, please, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Make sure you guys subscribe for more. We'll discuss this and several other anime here on the channel in the future. In the meantime, please be safe, take care, and Lord willing, I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Make sure to check out the extra content on our Patreon page, and thanks to our current patrons.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.